abandon those destinies all season long. And as we hit 30 minutes into the game, this is going to get. So here's Bengi getting caught out.
The problem with this play is Faker's in base, we don't teleport. Bengi should never pick up. Like, another nice hook here. Wolf goes down. You can't afford to play the map 45, and Martin was still dead there, so they were playing the map 3v5, blind into a dragon that they shouldn't even contest.
And they had, HQ had a pink ward, so there was total vision denial in the river, so you have to assume that if you're walking on a ward and you can't see what's in the river and you don't see Thresh,
assume that they're there.
Assume that they are there.
A lot of praise to AHQ, at least their mid and bottom half of the map, because it's Ziv that's really far behind. Level 15 to level 17. Still down 20 CS.
Ziv bought him the time to get ahead though. Ziv continuously got aggressed upon by SKT members, still kept even against Smart. Now that matchup is tilting away from him, but he bought so much time so that Westor and Aunt could trail ahead.
You could say he was absorbing the pressure that SKT was applying, making sure that Westor had the freedom in that mid lane. 4-1 and 3. Not another needlessly large rod picked up, but Faker is continuing to scale. Rod of Aegis has been fully stacked for a few minutes. Hourglass is completed as well. So, gentlemen, Kassadin is a thing. Do not forget, he can start to chase on down.
And one thing that's crucial that's been finished is Bang's QSS, so we can drop the fish. So now, this is where Fizz starts that problem. We get into the late game, we see some of these defensive items coming out. It really cuts Fizz's damage.
He does become more of a...
I think... So Ziv apprehended
pull it over the wall, yeah.
And then got the kill credit as well. So Ziv is like mine, and got it.
Fizz becomes more of a two-pronged attack weapon here right now. Later in the game, once he finishes that Zhonya's, because he can go in for the initial combo, Zhonya's wait for cooldown, then go again and use the second playful tricks to get out. So in that sense, he can fight still after his fish gets dropped. But it becomes an ultimate skill matchup later in these team fights.
One that Westor will know intimately. Longest standing Fizz player, probably on the planet.
Look how scared Westor is. He just pathed left to right a couple of times, so he's not quite sure where he has to be on the map. He wants to push top lane right here, but he's prioritizing vision denial a little bit on the Baron area, and he wants to be in a position to flank mid if that siege happens from SKT. He's still pathing left to right.
All the positive plays that AHQ put on the map, despite being even, they are the ones that are under pressure. Ziv dealing with Marin in the bottom lane, despite being 2 levels down. SKT playing safe and respectful in that middle lane. They're not over-aggressive on the tower. AHQ need to find another miraculous pick if they actually want to get map control, because it's simply not there.
Well, one thing that SKT has been doing this game is just making sure that the minion waves are constantly pressed into AHQ's side of the map. They have that advantage in the top lane, and they're only able to do it in 2 lanes right now because Faker is so far behind. But as this game goes on, Faker will be unleashed as a 1-3-1 split pusher instead. And then it's going to be very difficult for AHQ to contest just the map pressure, because even if they get a pick, even if they win a fight, taking an objective afterwards will be extremely difficult.
Release the Faker.
He was unleashed earlier this game. Continues to scale up. So Dragon is up in 2 minutes. Baron continues to stay standing, and AHQ committed vision resources to this top quadrant. So the Baron dance, gentlemen, you may see it begin.
SKT is aware of the way HQ wants to win these fights later on. That is by flanking with the Fizz. So you can see every time they don't have vision in the river next to them, they back off. And if they do, they're constantly pinging out Westor's position. But just an incredibly stale game. Nobody's really breaking up any towers here.
And it's about time to remind everybody, if SKT win, they qualify for the semis to face Origin. AHQ need to pick up a win to stay alive in the tournament. Cannot underestimate how important that is. Right, tower dive. Marin's going under. Will proc the grand challenge. Riposte that decimate. And that may unlock some time on the tower. Marin does have flash available. Albus is looking for a target. Will not find one, and bang. Rocket jumps quite aggressively there, knowing there's limited threat from engage. SKT, they found some time on this inner turrets.
Yeah, and they've just controlled this bottom side of the map because of the pressure that we've seen Marin exert, just slowly chipping away on this tower. A little bit dangerous for HQ to even walk there through that path to defend it, but they do get away unscathed.
Yeah, he picks up a Spirit Visage now too, just to increase that healing even more. He's barely even dropping in these small trades, and he just whittles down Ziv until the pressure makes them crumble, and eventually they'll lose an objective. But it's a slow, long battle to really get him chunk enough to zone him out of the lane, and then you get a tower, but could be looking at a quite a long game this game.
Well, that's the reality of these pick competitions going to head-to-head. Neither team really has very good siege, so it's about the split push. It's about these little bitty skirmishes around objectives. So heading into 40 or 50 minutes would not really be too unusual here.
No. Fortunately for AHQ, it is about individual play. It is about landing that one skill shot, that one flank. So as we continue to scale up, Dragon number 3 looking to be secured with the Ren, Stacks, and Smite. It should be an easy secure, made simpler as SKT back away. And that movement speed is going to help AHQ against this incredibly mobile, incredibly difficult to lock down for SKT.
Yeah, and if AHQ could actually deny the possibility of a blind Baron against SKT, they can just keep playing towards 5 Dragon win conditioning. They're fine getting pushed in up until the Dragon spawns. They don't have to get any other objective on the map as long as SKT can't really sneak a Baron. Later on though, you have to be careful because Fiora, Elise, Tristana does an incredibly quick Baron.
The first game all worlds that SKT has trailed in those Dragons. Cocoon finds Mountain. He's very confident on his tunnels. He's got some support coming up from behind, but here's Bang. There's the Lantern. Mountain again knew that he had relative support, but that may have been a tad over-eager.
By getting poked, though, he is seeding up vision control of the Baron again. And you have to weigh, as a jungler, you have to weigh that very seriously. Does it matter more if I lose those wards, or does it matter more if I get this blue buff? And that's what he chose. He didn't get either in that situation, but playing so aggressively by himself is a risk when it comes to preventing SK Telecom from now threatening this Baron very actively.
Yeah, and as the 4v4 moves away from mid lane, but actually towards Baron, teams distance themselves a lot farther from that bot lane, where the 1v1 is convincingly being won by Martin. So we could see a repeat dive into teleport later on by Martin. That's what SKT is waiting for right now.
Luckily for AHQ, Scuttle Crab belongs to them. So SKT playing around with vision in the pit. Ziv
Hang on.
waiting for Marin. Marin forced a flash. It looked like Ziv flashed forward as well. Did not use the dug on. Will ride the Lantern to safety. The explosive satchel. That was QSS off, if I'm reading that correctly, and summon a heal. SKT now have the advantage. They chunked AHQ out, and they're looking to push towers. Marin loses the fight, but ends up winning by getting the tower anyway.
Well, yeah, he has a ton of lifesteal on this build, right? So he's going to have that advantage. Can't quite knock it down, but it's just little by little, he's winning the duel in this bottom side.
One more mistake from either team will result in a big objective.
I do my best work.
For SKT, if they punish a mistake from HQ, it'll be blowing open the base thanks to having Tristana.
Slow farm game here for Faker. See what he goes for next. It's going to be the Void Staff or something else. It's a nice big wave right there. If we've been watching SKT, every time they push down to that tier 2 turret, they've been letting a slow push develop. While they push mid and bottom, the wave develops, Faker goes and farms it, and then they reset back in the mid lane.
Yeah, I've seen the hesitation on Wester too. He wants to push it out fully, but he can never quite commit to that full 1v1 because then SKT just punish. He's constantly looking for those flanks, but due to really good warding on the side of the flanks, SKT is preventing it, and that puts a bit of a net neutral state where neither team is really getting ahead.
Well, even if you do have wards of your Westor, you have to worry about the Tom Kench ult, you have to worry about the teleport coming in from the very fed Marin, so there's a risk even if you do have that vision.
Mountain playing with his life a little bit. Used the tunnel to get away from Benki, and Bang was looking to out. Void Stop was completed by Faker in the last pack. Marin's got himself another BF sword. Damage galore as far as he is concerned. Westor's had that hourglass for a little while, so power curve continues to escalate. We're about to hit 40 minutes into the game. No clear sign of a victor yet, but SKT honestly spending most of the time away from their own base.
Interesting potential power swing in this matchup here. Steris Gage finished by Ziv, so when he goes low, he actually gets that extra health and just more damage coming out of him in an extended duel against Marin. So Marin actually just wants to slowly, he's even more incentivized to kill Ziv slowly and painfully instead of actually going for a burst fight.
The tension is building. On once again takes no hit, no attack rather. Needs to back away. Marin still fighting Ziv in the bottom lane. Drops down.
We haven't seen Faker use his teleport to really assist that 1v1 there in the bot lane. Ziv and Marin have been facing off a couple of times against each other, but Faker could easily just teleport down bot if the remaining SKT members can hold the Baron vet 3v4, and that could swing up in the game.
So, first time, AHQ are not making as many positional mistakes. Mountain's playing a little aggressive, and for SKT, with their team comp, they're unable to play the map as effectively. They are so reliant on finding a kill.
Yeah, but the problem here is that AHQ is marching to the beat of SKT's drum. The side wave control has been heavily in favor of SK Telecom over the last 10 or so minutes. So they're constantly playing a defensive game. They have to keep poking in dangerously at Baron to start to clear out wards. And it's getting very difficult.
You could also see Ziv, he doesn't want to get past that brush too far. That's why this lane has constantly been pushed up in the bottom. Not because he's afraid to duel Marn, because he's just afraid of Faker's teleport. So as long as Faker has a teleport, bot lane will always be pressured by SKT.
Now that Wolf has got some armor, got some hit points, he's actually somebody that can tank up Baron a little. Simply put, nobody else from SKT can really tank it. There's sustain from Mara and a bang, but that's so risky.
They're actually pinging bot. They may go for a teleport play here.
Find and engage. You can see the fight happening in the bottom lane. Marin, the challenge is out. He looks to be winning. Sterik's Gage comes up. Ziv with Noxian Might looking for a target, and they end up nullifying one another. Marin is recalling. Baron is being dropped so low. SKT have decided to peel. The Cocoon does not find a target, and actually Marin, he's staying in lane. He's got sustain. Arn is going to hop backwards. The box comes down for a little bit of zoning. The Flay finds no one as Westor's coming from the side. He connects onto Bengi, but Bengi repels away, drops down. Ziv, he won the duel. He can recall back. He can teleport forward. But can AHQ do anything with their next minute of 5v4?
And a potential home guards teleport could threaten the Baron, but remember, AHQ is sitting on 3 dragons right now.
Yeah, not only that, but that was a misplay from SKT. As soon as Ziv doesn't use his ult in the bottom side, you need to back off, because in a TP versus TP duel, Marin had already used his ultimate. Ziv coming in can be dangerous. They're going to go for it, though.
Let's take a look. Where are the wards? Ziv needs to arrive. Faker's been chunked down by that Baron. The no real front line hurting them a little. Dragon number 4. Gentlemen, the timer is now cranked up to 6 minutes, and it's actually AHQ underneath that clock.
This is the first time we actually see teams threaten SKT here at Worlds. Let's watch that again, this duel there in the bot lane. Ziv goes low.
Hits the Decimate right there. There's another one.
Wow.
Mystery post. Yeah, you can't afford to do that in this matchup.
Oh, gentlemen, sorry to pull you back. Albus is in trouble. Fate's Call pulls him backwards. He gets a 4-man knockup, but Baron is down. 3,900 HP. Ziv is being exhausted as he's on the back line. Arn is trying to hop and skip towards Marin. A double kill for Bang. He gets the reset and the rocket jump. May get a 3rd onto Mountain. Looking for the auto attack range. Will not find it. Faker is going a little low. He's going golden, and Marin wants to finish off Arn and Westor. Westor throws down the hourglass. Faker shuts Arn down. Westor will follow shortly thereafter. We unfortunately didn't see the setup, but all of a sudden, all of the work that AHQ put in, completely undone.
I don't even know what to say about that. Marin, they waited too long to start that Baron where he had his TP up, he could get into the pit. They're going to charge straight forward for an inhibitor right here. Take it out, and then they'll have the ultimate pressure onto that Baron.
Yeah, fantastic team fight there from SKT, moving in and out of the fight, and they can likely just finish up the game, but then it makes you wonder, why did AHQ start that Baron when they had a potential 5th dragon?
It's a question that AHQ will be asking themselves all the way through the offseason. SK Telecom destroy AHQ's Nexus and are one step closer to the Summoners Cup.
Wow, so a very abrupt end to that game after a very long, well-fought game by AHQ. But they don't, like you're saying, Prepo, they don't play around the 5th dragon, and instead go for a very risky Baron when Marin's coming back up with TP, and they are punished.
Yeah, lack of foresight and lack of adaptation has punished HQ a little bit. And tenacity is something we've seen a lot from this SKT squad. They know how to play from ahead, but they also know how to cut their losses and play slightly.
Very abrupt end.
What an unfortunate end for AHQ. It's the first time they had a real shot to take down SKT. They held, they defended for so long.
Well, and SKT, they opted in the draft to play into that style. Westor did an extraordinary job in the mid lane up against Faker. But in the end, some macro mistakes and a missed shot call cost them the series.
And ladies and gentlemen, here in London, put your hands together for SK Telecom. They advance to Brussels where they will face Origin.
What a fantastic stage that'll be. Oh, wait to see that.
Euphoria or Eulogy?
Eulogy, baby.
Find out next time on the episode of 2015 World Championships.
I think we'll have one Euphoria and one Eulogy in the semifinals.
We'll have to find out. But for SKT, questions this game, I think. Go back to the draft, you can talk about, hey, if it had snowballed earlier, how much easier could it have been? Talk about decision making with the West Dawn crew. Difficult loss, a difficult exit from the World Championship.
Every game this Tahm Kench pick is being picked on support, the value becomes more apparent. Both teams playing it and teams that face off against it. Might even see support bans come out later on. Just the value of that Devour, it showed so much in that bot lane here for SKT. They already played well with it. With the tower dive, the Abyssal Voyage, you know, with Bang and Wolf under the tower aggro switches. I like seeing it.
It's really a fun champion to watch. I don't imagine it's very much fun to play against.
I can't even play it. I tried
it.
it once, I just can't do it. So.
The thing that I really like is just the evolution of the champion, as we were alluding to during the course of the game, is how we saw Tahm Kench come to fruition in week 2. We saw some real high highs from the Crew Tigers and some low lows from everybody else who tried really. But now we're actually seeing again Lucian, great efficiency using that Abyssal Void aggressively. Despite how easy this is, how long it is to channel and cast, you can make it effectively.
Yeah, probably still the most underused ability, I think, out of his kit. Just because you could, Tahm Kench on itself would work without the ultimate. He's one of those champions that even if you didn't have Abyssal Voyage, would make a fine support pick. One could argue that Thresh was in a similar state back in the day. You didn't even need the box to play him because his kit was just so strong. But I want to see more Abyssal Voyages used to really rotate around that and surprise people. Just get behind wards and then path in for ganks. Just so many plays potential. Similar like Bard has like Journey that you can do really. You can open up the map and open up plays that people are not really used to seeing.
Yeah, not only that, but the choices you can make too about which allies to take with you, how that's all going to play out. I feel like we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg at the Tahm Kench play, and especially as we go deeper into this tournament. Undoubtedly, it'll be a very big pick, and the players will get more comfortable, not only the support players, but that's a team pick.
Yeah.
You have to play as a team around that, so everybody has to know how it works.
Next question as well, how do you play around it if you let it sit? Because that's a question that nobody's willing to answer here when it comes to Mordekaiser and GP. They're just on the permaban list. But Tahm Kench, if you go, look, one GPR, 1 and 2 priorities, how do you play around the Kench? I
mean, you change your play pattern. You saw Albus adapt during the game too. He stopped hooking people.
Yeah.
You use hook as a zoning tool rather than just an offensive tool because you know hook leads to devour, and then you get counter-traded, so you just stop hooking people.
Therefore, all of my hooks are zoning tools. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to head to Shots in the Interval Lounge to talk to the best mid laner in the world.
Well, first off, congratulations, Faker, on making it to the semifinal. When we went into Game 3, it looked like it was going to be a very clean 3-0 sweep for you guys, but then it was quite close, especially in that mid lane. What happened there?
페이커 선수 우선 4강 진출을 축하드립니다. 3경기 이전까지는 되게 깔끔하게 3대0으로 끝날 줄 알았는데 3경기 때 이제 라인전에서 좀 고생도 하시고 경기가 전체적으로 힘들었는데 경기에 대해서 좀 말씀을 해주세요.
우선 이 경기까지 했을 때는 저희가 쉽게 3대0으로 이길 것 같았는데 막상 3경기를 하니까 좀 굉장히 힘들고 또 그리고 플레이를 하면서 느낀 게 제가 원래 상대가 잘한다고 느낀 적이 거의 없는데 이번에 웨스트도 선수가 피즈를 좀 정말 잘하시더라고요. 그래서 많이 힘들었던 것 같아요.
Okay, so up to game 2, we thought the games were going pretty easily. Until game 2, it was pretty easy, but at game 3, yeah, the game was very hard, and during the mid lane phase, I rarely acknowledged my opponents as a very strong laner, but I thought that Wester Fizz is very strong, and I had a very hard time against him.
Well, it showed, but in the end, you guys still managed to win. That means that now you guys are 9-0 already in the tournament. When we talked in the group stage, we talked about how it would be a very fun tournament because there was no obviously super dominant team. But to me, it's looking like you guys are becoming that team. How have your thoughts changed since then, now that you're 9-0?
지금까지 이제 고승 형태로 전승 각을 달리고 있는데 페이크 선수가 답을 내서 이때는 인터뷰에서 지금 이번 대회에서는 다들 상향 평준화돼서 되게 재밌는 경기 많이 나올 거고 치열할 것이라고 얘기했습니다. 근데 이제 지금까지 봤을 때는 SKT가 절대 강자로 보이는데 혹시 그에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
우선 지금까지 저희가 압도적인 경기력을 보여준 거는 사실이지만 사실 저희가 스크림에서 그렇게까지 완벽한 모습을 보이지는 않기 때문에 전승이 힘들다고 생각했었는데 앞으로도 지금까지는 좀 전승이어서 앞으로 좀 운이 좋으면 가능하지 않을까 싶고 그렇기 때문에 앞으로도 좀 더 잘해야 될 것 같습니다.
So even though we were dominating up till now, we were kind of having a hard time doing scrims. So I didn't actually see this coming, this 9-0 record. But we got up till here without dropping a single game. And I think if we try really hard, we might be able to pull the entire tournament. So we'll just keep on practicing hard and hope for the best.
As we get some disco lights in here, might be able to pull out the entire tournament. So a win versus Origin would be needed for that. That's the team you will be facing in the semifinals. I mean, we're here in Europe. They have a lot of fans here. So do you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that matchup.
그 이제 페이커 선수가 방금 전에 말한 전승 우승을 위해서는 이제 다음 4강전에서 오리진 팀이 꺾어야 할 텐데 이제 홈 그라운드이기도 한 오리진을 상대로 이제 어떤 경기가 예상되는지 말씀해 주세요.
우선 저희가 전승을 하기 위해서는 오리진을 3대0으로 이겨야 되는데 사실 오늘 경기도 굉장히 힘들었거든요. 그래서 다음도 전승을 이어가기는 힘들 것 같은데 아무튼 오리진이 지난번에 경기하는 거 보니까 굉장히 좀 잘하시더라고요. 그래서 좀 걱정이 되지만 그래도 제가 유럽에서 경기를 좀 많이 해봤기 때문에 지난 올스타 때 관중들이 유럽을 응원해도 별로 상관없을 것 같아요.
So in order to beat, okay, so let me start again. So if we have to beat Origin 3-0 again next week, I think it's gonna be a very hard job. Like even today, we struggled a lot, but and I personally also played a lot of games in Europe so far, like even last year at All Stars. So I think even though the home crowd might cheer Origin, I'm fine with that. And yeah.
You're fine with that. One final question, maybe, Faker. I feel like you're having a lot of fun outside of the game as well. I saw you high-fiving the crowd over here, and you seem to be a lot more relaxed than I saw you in Season 3. Can you tell me about your personal experience so far at Worlds?
페이크 선수 이제 방금 경기가 끝난 직후의 모습에도 막 팬들이랑 하이파이브를 하고 되게 팬들이랑 되게 훨씬 더 즐거운 모습을 보이는 게 많이 보였는데 2013년 롤컵과 이번 대회에 비교했을 때 어떤 경험을 하고 있는지 물어볼게요. 2013년 월드컵과 이번 대회에서 본인이 어떤 게임 외적인 모습을 보이고 있는지.
우선 왜 그 롤드컵에 올 때나 올스타에 올 때나 느낀 점이 항상 유럽이나 북미 팬들이 정말 열정적이고 그래서 게임을 할 때도 더 재미있게 할 수 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 더 기쁘게 할 수 있는데 지난 2014년도에도 저도 사실 팬들이 응원해 주는 거에 대해서 정말 감사함을 느꼈지만 그다지 표현은 안 했었는데 이번에는 어느 정도 표현하면서 팬들한테 좀 하는 게 좋다고 생각해서 하고 있는 것 같습니다.
So whenever I played a tournament at either NA or Europe, I always feel that the fans are really passionate. And even back in 2013, I really want to thank them, but I wasn't able to express that thoroughly. So for this tournament, I'm trying my best to express that I'm thankful for my fans.
Very thankful to you, and I'm very thankful for this interview. Thank you so much, Jake. And that will be it from us, guys. Take it away.
Thank you, Sharks. That man has no shortage of fans and how passionate they are. Jumping into this series, though, it was a 3-0 for SKT, so they're keeping their undefeated run here at Worlds alive. I want to start with the picks and bans here, though, because Faker comes out with that Kassadin into the face.
We were talking about how much we were liking SKT draft. This was the one that I walked away from going, I don't know where the wave clear really is here, so it's going to be a stalled out game that requires a lot of skirmishing, which they, SKT has shown a lot of prowess for, but so has AHQ. So this is going to be a bloody game that I thought, going back and forth. And the Kassadin against the Fizz was not working out for him at all. He got solo killed twice, and then there was one kill that was, for all intents and purposes, it was a solo kill, but the junglers kind of had a little bit of a hand in it.
It was a cheeky draft, but I do think that his laning disadvantage came from that early teleport. When you TP in the early game, like before level 6, to get one kill that you don't even get, you get an assist, and then you got a base, walk back to the lane, that gives a huge level advantage to the Fizz, and that's really where the snowball began.
Yeah, but then when he got killed the first time, they were both level 5, and then Fizz got 6 off of the kill, and I think it was the Ignite, the kill pressure of the Ignite. So we've been back and forth about TP versus Ignite in the mid lane. This was a great display of the type of advantage you can get when you run the Ignite and the type of pressure that Yamato's been talking about that you take to a TP mid laner.
Also a great display of what happens when you predict the flash and actually flash before the Kassadin does to where
Also,
the Kassadin
what happens
will
when you
flash.
drop the fish? Come on, guys.
What was that? What was that?
Really, really easy for Kassadin to set up ganks, and I want to give credit to Westor here and how well he played this, because generally when you're Kassadin and you trade with your Q, the reaction from Fizz is that he wants to jump in and trade back with his E, and what that does is it sets up these weird slow pushes and Kassadin freezes in front of his turret, and it's actually super frustrating as a Fizz player to play against something like that. But what Westor was doing was refusing to trade in the first 3 levels, and he would jump out of it, and then he actually got the freeze in front of the turret after the teleport came in, and even though he didn't have level 6, he would have hit it eventually first anyway, just because of how well he manipulated that wave. And that's just something that really good Fizz players will do, be able to trade outside of the wave and get in a small advantage like that. So credit to Westor, he didn't have the best first couple of games, but that game 3, he certainly did do a pretty good job at the start of the game of being able to dictate the pace as a Fizz player like you should be able to do.
Also, happy birthday to Westor. It is his birthday today, and what present would you want more than solo killing Faker twice? Multiple times on your own accolades. So once again, happy birthday, Westor. The game result wasn't the best for you, but your performance was still very good.
Yeah, the next thing I do want to move into, though, is the performance of AHQ as a whole. In this game specifically, they're arguably their most competitive game against SKT. But really this whole series, we do have to look at the efforts and the plays that they're making to give SKT a run.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I do want to compliment them on in that game 3 is that they made a mid-series adjustment, and this is something that we didn't necessarily think AHQ would be able to do. We said that they really didn't figure out the Veigar. This time you have to say that they pretty much figured out the Tahm Kench by the end of it and were able to play around it. And